Good morning, everyone. This is Naijha Wright-Brown, getting ready to speak to two fabulous guests this morning, and I'm so excited. I got up and I was like a little kid in a candy shop. I couldn't wait to speak to these two beautiful, beautiful women. So let's get the conversation started. We have the beautiful Jasmine Leyva in the house. This is the Invisible Vegan meets 10,000 Black vegan women. It's not invisible anymore, right, Jasmine? Jasmine Leyva is a filmmaker and actress based in Los Angeles. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in TV, Film, and Media and a Master's of Fine Arts in Screenwriting. Leyva worked as an associate producer on the NAACP award-winning docuseries Unsung and was subsequently a writer and producer for Being, a docuseries highlighting dynamic entertainers in the film and music industry. Leyva was also an associate producer for a variety of unscripted television. In front of the camera, Leyva has appeared in commercials and print ads for major brands, including American Express, Apple, BlackPeopleMeet.com, Credit Sesame, Diesel, Elle Magazine, Michelle Watches, Uber, and more. She also starred in the Lifetime the show My Crazy X, along with other TV projects. In 2019, Jasmine and Kenny Leyva released their own feature-length documentary, The Invisible Vegan, a film that chronicles Jasmine's personal experience with plant-based eating. The film also explains how plant-based eating is directly linked to African roots and how African-American eating habits have been debased by a chain of oppression stemming from slavery, economic equality, and modern agribusiness. The film has received a wealth of acclaim, including recognition from U.S. Senator Cory Booker. And I have saw the film, and it is wonderful. And we're going to show a clip of it now.
The modern day slave doesn't know that it's a slave.
Let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food.
The government encouraging people to eat foods that it knew would make them sick because of the lobbying efforts of the industry. And that's really reprehensible.
I grew up in DC eating the standard American diet. I initially identified veganism as the right thing. It was because I didn't know my history. All I knew was we turned scraps into soul food, and I thought that was our only culinary legacy.
Fried fish, fried pork chops, fried chicken.
It becomes so specifically assigned to Black people because in the 60s, Black nationalists wanted to make the argument that Black people had culture. We have culture in our language, we have culture in our clothing, we have culture in our food.
Chitlins and chicken wings and oxtail and ox tongue and pig feet. Those were the things that were thrown away that Massa didn't eat. Those were the scraps that were scavenged up by certain slaves.
They made do with what they had, but the fact is that we are no longer on the plantation.
It's all love, all love, all love.
So I think a lot of people think about Black folks' history in this country. It always starts with slavery, right? But it really goes back farther than that to the continent of Africa. People were growing food, cultivating the land.
They had crops, they had dirt, and they had seeds. So I can only imagine that most of our diet was always plant-based.
When you look at traditional West African diets, they are diets that are low in fat.
The World Health Organization finally admitted that meat was the leading cause of cancer. Kaiser Permanente is finally endorsing a plant-based diet for optimum health. So eating fresh, healthy crops is a part of our legacy, and it's a part that we should start.
Qualities people who are being beaten down by the detritus of life.
Access to healthy foods in this country has become a privilege instead of a right, which it should be. Cost is a big barrier for probably a lot of people.
The federal government gives subsidies for big food to produce cheap food. So that means that it's going to be cheaper for us to get boxed macaroni and cheese or white bread.
No human is really adapted to eat this way. This diet will cause increased rates of disease and death in us because we are less genetically adapted to eat these foods.
A lot of people will find like the foods that they eat really disturbs their rest. These are things that can give you mucus at night. I go to sleep, we wake up. Well, you take some of that dairy out of your diet, you won't do that.
By not drinking that milk, by not eating any animal products, you are not participating in a system that causes harm.
They say you are what you eat, so I strive.
Vegans are in a position to be able to recognize the suffering of these other beings.
There's no way I'm eating that. There's dead and diseased animals mixed in with the live ones.
They are not feeding our children. We are feeding our children.
There's the policy side of our health and our wellness, and there's the personal priorities side.
As a people, if we want to go stronger and flourish, we have to be healthy.
A plant-based diet promotes better health, less disease, and greater longevity. You need a clearer mind. And to have that, you need a better diet.
Just try to have a little bit more strategy about what it is you eat. And if you can do that, then you can find that you can stay steady about a number of things as far as discipline goes.
Power of psychology. You change your perception. If you change your perspective, then you see new opportunities.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that project, Jasmine. I appreciate that. And I'm sure the world that has seen the Invisible Vegan, it is representative of us. And thank you, thank you, thank you. That is a major project. I'm glad that you're here to join this conversation. Tracy McQuirter. She's been in the game for so long. Let me get to Tracy. She got some major stuff going on. Tracye McQuirter is a writer, speaker, public health nutritionist, and 30-year vegan who has been teaching people how and why to live a healthy vegan lifestyle for the past 3 decades. 30 years. She is the recipient of multiple awards for her public health, nutrition, and vegan advocacy, and was named a national food hero, changing the way America eats for the better by Vegetarian Times. She's the author of the book Ageless Vegan, which Library Journal starred as raising the standard of plant-based cuisine, and the national bestseller By Any Greens Necessary, which established her as one of the most influential vegans in the country. And that's why we gave you that Vegan Soul Fest Vegan Superstar Award in 2018. By Any Greens Necessary. She was established. She's most influential vegan in the country. She directed the nation's first federally funded vegan nutrition program and was a nutrition advisor for the Black Women's Health Imperative. Tracy recently created the first of its kind free African-American vegan starter guide in partnership with Farm Sanctuary, and previously co-created one of the earliest vegan websites 20 years ago, which was also the first by and for African-American vegans. Her work has appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, US Today, Essence, Bon Appetit, Ebony, Veg News, the Huffington Post, and many more. Tracy is a graduate of Sidwell Friends School, Amherst College, and New York University, where she received a master's degree in public health nutrition. Thank you for joining us, Tracy, and we're going to show the initiative of your 10,000 Black vegan women.
I am Tracy McQuirter, public health author and vegan for 33 years. This year, I'm helping 10,000 Black women go vegan, and I hope you'll be one of them. I'm celebrating the 10th anniversary of my first book, By Any Greens Necessary, the first vegan diet book for Black women. It's helped thousands of Black women go vegan and get healthy during the last 10 years. The New York Times and other media outlets have cited By Any Greens Necessary as one of the most influential books of the last decade. To mark the 10th anniversary, I'm launching a program to help 10,000 Black women go vegan in 2020 in 1 year. Why? Because while Black women are leaders in so many progressive ways, we are in a crisis when it comes to our health. We experience the highest rates of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancer, the top 4 killers and disablers in the nation. And we're getting these diseases as younger women. While there are many reasons that we're experiencing these conditions, we have the power to take back control of our health. Plant-based foods are the healthiest foods on the planet, and eating them can reduce your risk of chronic diseases by up to 80% or more. Just because your mother, sister, or aunt had a chronic disease doesn't mean you will. Your dinner is more powerful than your DNA. It's about your greens, not your genes. I'm going to show you how to make vegan food affordable, convenient, and delicious. So whether you're 25, 55, or 85, you can go vegan and love it. Now is your time, and this is your year. So be one of the 10,000 Black women going vegan with me in 2020. Let's do this together.
Yes, let's do this together. Thank you so much for that, Tracy. Let us get into the discussion. And as you see, you know, I'm always promoting your African American Vegan Starter Guide. We done distributed probably about 10,000 plus and still going. Oh, no problem. Let me get the close up of y'all. We got to get y'all closed up. Tell me about your journeys, Jasmine, starting with you. What was the journey like?
So the journey started from a very superficial place. I saw Chef Babette, and I
love her. She's beautiful.
Yes, the owner of Stuff I Eat in Inglewood. And if you see her body for, you know, a woman in her 50s, 60s, she looks incredible. And I was like, oh, I want her body.
Yeah.
What her habits were. And then I decided to, you know, try being vegan. And then once I tried it, I had all these health benefits that I didn't expect. So then it was just like, whoa, there's more to this than just, you know, losing a little bit of weight. And then I started watching the vegan documentaries and started reading the books, By Any Greens Necessary included. And then I became inspired to continue with the journey for, you know, reasons other than just cosmetic reasons. Like, you know what? I'm not down with this system of abuse toward the animals. I don't want to contribute to the downfall of our environment. You know, I want to see people in my family live to be 100. And I want to live not only a long life, but a long, healthy life. So
yes.
Kind of evolved.
Awesome. Any challenges that you had in this journey? And you can be open and speak about any of the challenges that you had while you were on this journey.
You know, one of the biggest challenges in the beginning was a lack of community, because you know, I've eaten dairy my entire life. So it's almost like kicking a drug addiction, but it's hard to kick a drug addiction if everybody around you is constantly trying to offer you that drug. You turn on nothing but like, oh, look at this new double-decker burger. You know,
right.
It was hard to stay in that space. But what helped is, you know, kind of creating a community of people around me who also wanted to be healthier and more ethical, and then educating myself on why I'm eating plant-based in the first place. So I feel more inspired to continue doing something that's like, no, I'm contributing positively to the world, instead of, oh, I'm trying to lose a few pounds.
Right, exactly. Love it. Thank you for that. Tracy, you're the OG, man. Like, like you got 3 decades to cover. Please, in a nutshell, what was your journey like?
Thank you. You know,
So long story short, I was a sophomore at Amherst College in 1986, and our Black Student Union brought Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory had already been vegan for 20 years because of the practice of nonviolence and the civil rights movement. And he did a lecture about why we should, Black folks should go vegan. And he kind of, that was a surprise because we brought him there to talk about the state of Black America. And instead he talked about the plate of Black America. And he traced the path of a hamburger from a cow on a factory farm through the slaughterhouse process to a fast food restaurant, to a clogged artery, to a heart attack. Now, I was somebody who ate hamburgers and hot dogs and pizza and French fries every day. My first year in college, I gained 25 pounds because I was away from home and could eat whatever I wanted, and I did. So his talk just rocked my world. And I think more important, or as important as that, tracing that path of a hamburger, he connected the dots. So he talked about the USDA, he talked about the federal government promoting, fast food, promoting unhealthy food because of big business. He talked about why Black folks eat the way we do, economics, politics, like all of it. And I was interested in all of those things. And so because he connected those dots for me and talked about health, it just blew my mind. And immediately I gave up hamburgers and hot dogs for a week. And then I was like, you know what? Dick Gregory's crazy. I started to do my own research. And so when I came back to DC, I did all the, reading about vegetarianism that I could. And because this is 1986, this is 10, 11 years before we had the internet. So you had to physically go to the library and get books. And I read everything. And so over a process of several months of reading, I became a vegetarian. And then it would take me about, I'd say a total of a year or so to become vegan, to let go of cheese. And my mother, who was in her 50s, and one of my sisters, who's just 14 months older than me, we all went vegan together.
Nice. Nice. That was the support group. Talk about the challenge that you had, because again, you got a lot of time in there, so I'm sure you went through a lot of different challenges. What stood out most with those with your challenges?
Well, honestly, I was 19, 20 at the time, and when I took my junior year away, like right after that lecture, so I went to Nairobi, Kenya, couldn't be vegetarian there, and then I came back to DC and went to Howard. And Howard had this huge Black vegan and vegetarian community that I found out about. So I'm a college student, a junior in college at Howard for the semester, and I am immersed in a community that had been vegan for decades.
You had it good.
So I was a student of these folks. These were the OGs for me. And so I had a community, my own family, and then this vegan community that was 10 minutes away from my house walking. So I didn't have, I had a built-in community here, thankfully. And so I didn't have those challenges of not having support. The biggest thing, so I had 9 months, 6 months, 6 months of the semester, and then 3 months during the summer to become a committed, confident vegetarian. So I didn't have, those similar challenges that Jasmine and many other folks might have had. I think just personally, the biggest thing for me was letting go of cheese, because I love cheese. Mind over matter. So
Yes. Me being from New York, that New York City pizza, I could, it was hard to give that up. So we're in this day and age right now where now, vegan is the thing. Like, people being vegan, they not really vegan. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the thing now. What do you say though, when people still say vegan food is not real food, that you still have to eat animals in order to get your nutrition? Like, so Land of Kush ain't a real restaurant because we not serving real food. I get so offended when I hear this. What is your take on that? How do you respond, Jasmine?
I think, it's almost like I laugh at the irony of it, because I'll be sitting down and I'll have a plate, and it'll have, garbanzo beans, tomatoes, just all this great stuff. And I can identify every item on my plate. and then someone else who says you're not eating real food, they'll be eating food that comes from a box, from some kind of animal. And if you ask them what ingredients goes into what they're eating, I'm pretty sure it's a bunch of chemicals that they can't name.
Right.
So I just think the irony of that is hilarious.
Absolutely.
Tracy.
I mean, Jasmine said it. That's exactly right. And you know, the biggest thing is that, you know, this whole protein myth, you know, as if protein equals meat. Protein is a piece of meat. That's
right. Right.
And so you know, I just tell them what the research says. 70%, we vegetarians, vegans, omnivores, we all get 70% more protein than is recommended every day, period. That's the research. Done. Like, if I had $1 for every time I heard that, oh my God, I'd be on taking more vacations.
Yeah.
I just tell them that, and if, you know, and we keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds is not food. Like, you know, y'all need to, you know, but that's what we're here for. Because, you know, if people are educated, then they'll understand. So, you know, everyone's doing great work. But it always makes me cringe when I hear people say that.
Naijha, can I also just say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts, whether they're vegan or omnivore. So they are already eating this food.
Exactly.
So it's not foreign. You're already eating it. And if that's what you're seasoning your meat with too.
I'm glad you said that, because it's so true. Let's talk about this plant-based versus vegan, healthy versus unhealthy. So I'm the executive director of the Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland, and our mission is to push the whole food is medicine concept. Okay, so we do have vegan mock meats and things like that, but we do teach that the overconsumption of that can lead to other health ailments, and you don't want to overdo it. What are your thoughts on that with the whole plant-based versus vegan, and how do you spread the message out in the community? Because again, with our folks, our demographic being so you know, have the health ailments with the diabetes, obesity, cancer, and stroke, what is your message to them when people like go vegan and then eat this, eat that? How do you send your message? Jasmine, you can.
Okay, well, I'm guilty of making the mistake of when I first started kind of promoting veganism as like, oh, this is the healthy diet. Because when I started, there weren't a lot of, you know, and this was 10 years ago, no, maybe like 14 years ago. All the unhealthy options they have now didn't exist. So it's like you could go like maybe the pasta, potato chips, French fry route, but it's not like you can do the whole like vegan ice cream in every flavor. All these like mock meats, some of them that have a lot of sodium, like that wasn't an option. But now I try to be more careful about when I'm talking to somebody why they want to go vegan, and just letting them know like it's okay to indulge in, you know, some of the unhealthy foods, but use that as a bridge instead of your stopping point.
Okay, nice. Tracy.
That's exactly it. It can be a bridge food, and that's how people should see it, as a place to cross over if they need that help to transition. So if they want the flavor and the texture that's similar to meat and dairy, those foods are available, right? But they're exactly right. It's not a place to stay. You want to like live with the whole plant-based foods, the whole foods, because those are the healthiest foods to eat. And Jasmine is right. You know, even me 33 years ago, and Jasmine 14 years ago, it was actually healthier to be vegan. We didn't have as many of these options. So it may not have been as easy for people because there were fewer vegans, but you were more likely to be a healthy vegan back in the day. Whereas now it's the opposite.
Right. I had a guest on the show about a week ago, Faraji Muhammad. He's definitely a major a prominent person in the community. He's a radio show host for Morgan State University's radio station. And he talked about when he started getting on the journey and he was eating all the Impossible Whoppers and the Beyond Burgers. And then he went to the doctor and he was like, you know, my blood pressure is up, and I'm eating plant-based. So we had this whole conversation because he brought me on the show, and I said, in moderation, man, you still need to eat those whole food plant-based products. You just can't go out and French fries all day, every day, because it's going to come back on you. So I'm glad that we're spreading that message. And then anybody in any of the viewers, if you have questions, please, you can send them in, and we'll try to answer them. I have someone that said that they were vegan and they still had stage 1 estrogen dominance cancer, and they had to have they were suggested to have surgery but declined the radiation and hormone therapy, and they have no history of breast cancer. What do you recommend for those? Because everybody's body is different, and all foods may not do well with everybody. What do you recommend for people? Where should they start? Should they get a dietitian? Should they get how should they work this?
Yeah, I definitely think that, so there's a standard, right? Whole plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, and nuts, right? Those are the standard vegan ingredients that you use to make your meals, So with that, I always recommend that people start with, finding out what works for their digestive system. So for example, dark leafy greens are the healthiest foods on the planet. So you want to eat those 2 to 3 times a day, about two and a half cups worth, right? Cooked, sauteed, steamed, however, or in a smoothie, a wrap, a soup. Focus on eating more dark leafy greens, then swap out your grains, your white grains for whole grains. So the black rice, the brown rice, the quinoa, the millet, the barley. So, and then in terms of beans, you can start with lentils because they're more easily digested.
I love lentils. Yeah.
So high in so many nutrients, including protein. So, and then, chickpeas, black beans, red beans, there are hundreds of beans in the bean queendom, so you can see how you do. And the same with nuts. So you basically get some cookbooks, go online and, check out some recipes, but you can also veganize what you already make. So if you're somebody who makes chicken stir fry a few times a week for dinner or for lunch, or you make wraps, like chicken, wraps or whatever, then, just substitute, some other items for it. So in your stir fry, you can have nuts, you can have cashews, you can have quinoa, you can put beans in there, chickpeas, and the same with your wraps. So once you have the basics of what whole food plant-based is, then you determine what's healthy for you. For me, for example, when I started, I drank soy milk all the time. I can't digest soy milk now. And there's we can get into the whole soy conversation or not. We probably don't have time. But over time, you will determine what's healthiest for your particular body.
Right, exactly. Jasmine, what are you eating to kind of balance it out?
What am I eating? So something I like to do, especially now with COVID-19.
Yes.
You want to
which affecting us more.
Yeah, which is affecting us. And part of the reason for that is because our immune systems aren't built. When this this virus broke out, everyone is going out buying foods in cans and boxes. But if you want your immune system to fight a virus like it is capable of doing, you have to eat foods that have vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients to build up your system. So I try to start the day with a smoothie. That way I can just off the bat, start my day with, maybe 5 to 7 nutrients already on deck. And I try to do 1 salad a day. And I'm really big into soups.
Yes.
Because if I have a lot of leftover produce, instead of it going to waste, I can just throw it into a well-seasoned broth. And I just like sipping soup.
Yeah,
So
me
that's
too. I love soup and salad and a little sandwich. So yeah, I like light stuff.
yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to Jane Unchained News for allowing us this platform to have this discussion, and shout out to my sponsors, the Welfare World, Veg Fund, and Women Funders and Animal Rights. If it wasn't for them, this probably wouldn't be happening right now. So I do appreciate their support. Please, on the bottom, subscribe to NaijhaSpeaks.com. If you have friends that missed this recording, it will be on my channel. It will be on Land of Kush, Black Veg Society in Maryland, Vegan Soul Fest, and Jane Unchained News, so you can catch the replay. Also, June is National Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Month. So we have a 10-day plant-based made easy challenge that is going on right now. So if you see the ticker, it says bit.ly/plant-based made easy. So 6 o'clock today, we have a kickoff. So you want to register for that. It is free. The cost of the program would have been $300 per person, but we at Black Veg Society of Maryland are sponsoring this, and we have 300 registrants, and we can get some more. So thank you. And also download the free African American Vegan Starter Guide that was produced for us by the lovely Tracy McQuirter. African American Vegan Starter Guide.com. Upcoming projects and major successes. Let's talk about that. If you want to go into the Invisible Vegan documentary or anything new that you're working on, Jasmine, let's talk about what's happening now and how you're navigating during this pandemic.
Ooh. So one thing, they've been doing a lot of quarantine short contests. So I did a 1-minute short about eating disorders. Because when you talk about, usually when we see eating disorders, we see all the movies that I've seen, they always center, again, white woman, skinny woman, usually affluent. And then we don't talk about eating disorders in communities of color. So I want to build that project out once we're done with kind of everything that's going on right now. And I also have a follow-up project to Invisible Vegan that I want to do, focusing on food in the prison system.
Oh, so yes, very important.
How am I going to fund this? You know, so that's where I'm at.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
And is the Invisible Vegan the website that people can go to get more information on your projects, Jasmine?
Well, no, the Invisible Vegan, that just focuses on Invisible Vegan. This is just kind of the work. So I'm, researching, reading books about it, kind of getting the my cast that I want to have participate. I'm in pre-production stages.
So they should just follow you. So let's just bring they make sure you're following Jasmine.
You can go to, I have a Patreon page.
Okay.
It's very new.
Okay.
But I want to use it to start funding my, follow-up project.
I think you gave it to me, but it just says the Invisible Vegan. So just they can go to the Invisible Vegan through Patreon. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if anyone wants to support Jasmine, you should be supporting Jasmine, the Invisible Vegan Patreon. Please. I'm going to put that up there in the chat. I have a question from someone that's asking about a book. Let me just post that up there for you. It might be for Tracy. Where can I get your book? Will your book help me communicate with my Black friends regarding diet? I'm a nurse and see such horrible medical profiles on young Black people. Thank you, Sandra or Sandra, if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Where can she get the book?
Anywhere books are sold. So anywhere, your bookstore, your local bookstore, anywhere online you buy books, Target, Costco, Walmart, Amazon, whatever is your preference, and or the library. They are available.
Talk about the 10,000 Black vegan women initiatives.
So
that's major, man. That's major. Okay.
I wanted to. So this is the 10th anniversary of my first book, By Any Greens Necessary, and that was, what the video said. The first one, diet book for Black women. Sister Vegan came out the same year, right around the same time, and that was a collection of essays, right? So this is the first one that focused on diet. And so it helped a lot of women, go vegan. And I wanted to do something special and bold. So I came up with this idea of helping 10,000 women go vegan in 1 year. And we already have, as I said, 4,600 women signed up. It starts in October. So we average about 50 women a day signing up. So we're well on our way to reaching our goal just with what we're doing now. But of course, we're going to ramp up in the 90 days before the project because I really want to go over 10,000. And for me, when, you know, my focus has always been Black women by default and on purpose. Always will be, because it's unacceptable to me, you know, that we have the worst health outcomes. It's just not, it's unacceptable. It's not, it's, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. And we're talking about hundreds, 300 Black women plus a day dying from preventable diseases. And that means that this is the way, you know, and there are lots of state sanctioned reasons why this is happening. But, you know, when you help Black women change the way we eat, you're helping their families, their partners, their communities, their sisters, their social circle. So there's a huge ripple effect that can happen with this particular program. And
we're the strength. We got to carry everything. You know, we are the strength. You know, I'm going through it now, you know, with the pandemic and the you know, the virtual schooling and Atlantic Kush and the nonprofit and projects at the it's so, you know, and I can tell you a story. When I was living in Newark back in 1995, and I was developing, you know, the heavy menstruation and you know, all of this crazy stuff that was happening to my body when I was eating all of this crazy corner store, big plumped up, whatever they called chicken. You know what I'm saying? I was like, something has to give. So when I came down to Maryland and got my physical and found out about all of this health stuff that was going on with me at 33, thank goodness that I started the journey to try to figure out what's going on. Like, I'm 33. Why is my cholesterol so high? Right. And then after meeting my husband, Greg, and the whole vision of the land of Kush, I said, you know, the universe has placed me where I need to be because I want to live to look like Chef Babette too. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm getting my working out and all of that. So, and we can do it, you know, as Black women. The website is at 10,000blackveganwomen.com, Tracy?
10,000blackveganwomen.com, or they can just go to byanygreensnecessary.com. Same, you know, same thing.
Okay, I'm going to put that up so people can register. 10,000blackveganwomen.com. I got it right?
Yes, and if they register now, although it's going to officially launch in October, if they register now, they get weekly wellness vegan tips from me, and they also download a 14-page free Weekend Vegan 2-day jumpstart with recipes, a done-for-you grocery shopping list, meal plan, and meal prep tips, so they can start themselves right away.
Download it now, everybody. 10,000blackveganwomen.com, and make sure you're following Tracy McQuirter at By Any Greens. By Any Greens. Let's talk about.
I'm sorry, can I cut it? And
go ahead, Jay. This is a conversation. Absolutely.
Tracy, and I've read a lot of her content. One of the things that I love about your content is it's accessible. You know, you are brilliant. You radiate such intelligence. And I think, you know, true brilliance is when you know how to take something that might be complicated and make it really simple. And you do that very well so that people on all levels can just get the message. So thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. That's high praise. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for your film at the base. It didn't exist before. You know what I mean? You just bringing that message out through your personal story. And I mean, it's elevated the movement so much. So, you know, kudos to you for doing that and for all that you're going to continue to do.
Yeah.
So
that was my next question. How you know, I'm glad you said that, Tracy, because I was going to ask Jasmine, what was that journey like putting together the first documentary for those aspiring filmmakers? Because I had Badass Vegan on a week or so ago, and he has his They're Trying to Kill Us documentary that he's working on. What advice would you give to those that are aspiring to do a documentary? How did you set that whole thing up? How long did it take?
Oh, it took years. And my advice would, and this is to anyone who wants to do anything of greatness, just do it. You know, do not tell yourself, do not make obstacles. Do not let them dictate why you do or don't do something. And when you have the obstacle, say like, okay, this is the obstacle, but how can I get around it? So when I was doing a documentary, which for people that don't know, if you want to do a low budget documentary, we're talking $1,000 per minute. And that is on the low budget end. My bank account was not in a place to accommodate that type of project, but I just kept going. I'm like, you know what? I have this camera. I don't have money to pay a crew. I don't have money for lighting. I don't have money for makeup. I don't have money for professional sound, but I have $30 to buy this microphone off Amazon. You know, I can hit the ground running and try to record and produce and do everything myself. It's not ideal. It might not look like Steven Spielberg quality, but I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to push through and do it anyway. So I would just say, just go. Do not pay any attention to roadblocks.
Right. Because, you know, you have, that's the test. You know what I'm saying? That's going to show how determined you are to get to your dream or your goal. What would you say were the major successes and challenges of that project?
The challenges were definitely, well, the first challenge is
funding is always something, but outside of that, we always know funding is always the issue.
And even now, like you do a documentary, you knock it out and you think, okay, I've proven myself. The next go round, I should be able to get money, like real money, investors. And that hasn't happened the way I wanted it to. So just being a Black woman and having that access to, money to tell our own stories. So that's one challenge. Having to do a lot of the things yourself when you're not an expert at everything. I'm good. My background is in story, not so much, camera work and executing angles. So You saw that in the film. So kind of being okay with putting out a project that wasn't as expert level as I wanted it to be. And then being able to take criticism from people, because no matter how good your project is or how noble it is, you're going to have people that not only say, off-putting things about your work, but they say it to you. And it's like you're opening yourself up to where people, they disrespect boundaries that they normally wouldn't disrespect because they feel like, oh, you're a public figure. I can say anything to this person and I can shit on their work and it's okay. Sorry for that.
Everybody's a critic and that's okay. I follow a Buddhist philosophy. You're just expressing yourself. That's it. So, but once you become the public figure, you got to open yourself to criticism. Everybody tells us how to run a restaurant and they haven't run one yet. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'll be coming to you like, Jasmine, okay, I want to do this. Where do I start? You didn't have to have the major perfect Spielberg project, but you got it done. So, I would definitely be coming to you. Exactly. I think you did an amazing job on it for a first documentary, and we're waiting for the next one. It just got me in talking about documentaries. What documentary inspired you to become vegan? So we know there may have been some books. I think Tracy mentioned Dick Gregory as a figure. What documentary or books inspired you? Like, what would be interesting ones for people to see that really inspired you? Like for me, Cowspiracy was one.
Are you asking Jasmine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both of you. While we're talking about documentaries,
different documentaries for me hit different points. I really enjoy, I think Forks Over Knives. I really enjoyed that one. Vegucated, it was the first documentary I saw with a woman. Books I loved By Any Greens Necessary is one of my favorites. I really enjoy Sister Vegan as well. And What the Health. I like food and Cowspiracy too. But when I saw What the Health, I'm like, okay, this is probably my favorite of the trio.
That was a major one. That year when What the Health came out, Atlanta Kush sales revenue just like shot through. It was just an amazing year. We were at all the churches. It was that was like the year. Like there was like this major boom and everybody wanting to go or try going vegan. So that was a great year. What inspiration documentaries and books, Tracy?
Same, and even with on the subject of what the health, it trickled to all of us, right? So everybody, I think, got a bump who was already doing, this in this field, doing the work. So I definitely had a lot of people come to me after seeing What the Health Chew. And gosh, I think I've seen everything that has been put out. So it's
I have to catch up. I mean, my list is small because documentaries can be long, and with my schedule and being busy, it's kind of like I got to have that time to really get into that. I don't want to stop it and then have to go back. Now, I did see Jane's Countdown to Year Zero on Amazon Prime, so I'm just plugging that out for her since we're on her channel, and then the new show that she has, New Day, New Chef. So again, shout out to Jane and definitely our sponsors, the Well-Fed World, Veg Fund, and Women Funders in Animal Rights. Is there anything that you can think of right now that you would want to share with the viewers? And if any of the viewers, again, if you have any questions, please, this is the time to ask. Anything that you can think of that's very important while people are starting their journey, already on their journey, or aspiring to start a vegan business or a vegan project or initiative?
I would say, so one of the things that I didn't like when I came into the vegan movement is I felt judgment from certain places, and it was very off-putting. So I just want to remind people that, when you become a vegan, don't wear it like, oh, now I'm this vegan, so I have this superior morality, and now I can, that gives me credentials to like tell everybody else how they're living their life. Just know, like, that's not what that means. Like, it's great that you're making an ethical choice, and you can live by example and be just as influential instead of just going around policing people. So
right, because it can be off-putting, and then it gives this stigmatism that vegans are not the best people. I don't particularly like, because that's not how I roll anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because people are going to do what they want to do. They're adults, and I can do what I want to do. Period. End of story. Like,
I agree. I mean, when I first started out, I was, at 20 years old, I was so self-righteous. I was like,
I can see you now, Tracy.
You can imagine. I was self-righteous. Oh my gosh. And what happened is that a friend of mine who I helped go vegan came to a dinner that we were having for my oldest aunt. And they asked her why she didn't eat the food. Now, my family, my sister, my mother, and I, we just sit back. We don't say anything. We just, are enjoying the company, but we don't, make a big deal of it. And they were like, well, you're not eating. She's like, I don't eat that crap. And I was mortified that she would say that to my aunt and my relatives. And so after that cured me. I was just like, no, that's not how I'm going to roll. That's not right. You have to respect people. Now, everybody has their way that they share information. But for me at that age, that was just, it was more important for me to be respectful of my elders and my family members, and to have conversations outside of the dinner table, right? To have conversations where people are not, where people are not feeling as defensive. Now, the fact that I'm a public health nutritionist means that I talk about, this is my profession. So I kind of, am able to talk about it all the time and meet people where they are. And I, share information, provide resources, and then I let it go,
Yeah. With the restaurant, it's funny because we have a place on the corner, that sells the fast food. If you can just imagine what I'm saying. I don't want to shout out any names and give anybody any publicity. So it's like right literally there. So we get a lot, and especially our folks, because that's the type of food a lot of our folks like. they go there and they eat this, and then you'll hear people walking by like, well, who the F will go in there? And who, like, you don't even imagine. We've had Stevie Wonder, we've had Angela Davis, we've had Ray Lewis, we have, you know, so you're judging a book by its cover and you haven't even stepped in. And meanwhile, we have all of the guides, like the African American Vegan Starter Guides, like right out the store, like, you know, just pick up something and learn from it before you start walking by talking about, and who the F eats in there, you know what I'm saying, because of your lack of knowledge. So stuff like that really gets me upset, because now you're judging and you don't know what's going on the other side. And then we allow people to sample the food, even if you feel you don't like it. We'll come in and try something, and if you don't like it, then you don't like it. But everybody likes a smoothie, so just stop it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, at minimum, you can't deny having a strawberry banana smoothie. Let's just start where we can. Get rid of the milkshakes and get a smoothie or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's our approach to it. But yeah, we you know, we have to have a respectful line. But a lot of times I would cringe and be like, you know, hey, Stevie Wonder was in here. Maybe that's just not, you know, in your league, but okay.
Yeah, you still have the thoughts for sure. You know
Exactly. It's been wonderful. We're in our last 10 minutes. I don't see a lot of questions. Any pressing topics that you wanted to talk about, you know, together at this time? Because I went through all the questions. I guess I was so excited. We went through everything really fast. You touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. And I don't have any more questions for you. So we can just keep pumping up the 10,000 Black vegan women and Jasmine's Patreon, and also subscribing to Naijha Wright Speaks. Please just subscribe to Naijha Speaks. I'm sorry, Naijha Speaks. I have tons of videos on replay, discussions like this with great guests. Also download the free vegan starter guide by Tracy McQuirter, African American Vegan Starter Guide, and also register for the 10-day plant-based challenge. We have the kickoff today at 6. bit.ly/plant-based easy. It is that easy. It is free. You don't have to pay anything. So join in. Any final words?
I have, you know what, and I have a question. I guess.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
So I have a question. You know what, now with everything going on in our country, you know, the protests, the lives that are being lost to injustice, how are you guys, because I guess I'm struggling with this a little bit, kind of posting the vegan message without looking like I am disregarding, you know, the Black Lives Matter message?
That's a very, very good question. It's interesting because of this whole movement, we've been getting flooded with love and people just supporting Black businesses. So it's not even about the message anymore. It's about supporting, like, our storyline on IG has been incredible. Like, we haven't been able to stock enough food. It's been crazy over here. I'm telling you, like, it's a good problem to have. It's a little stress. Like, we haven't been able to keep food stocked because of this.
Wow.
So it's like, we're back Black business. And again, you can get a smoothie. We're not pushing the message in your face. This is a place that you can eat healthy soul food. For the first time this year, Land of Kush has been placed in the category of best Baltimore soul food restaurant. Not just vegan, soul food. 1 out of 5. We didn't win, but we were in the category. That speaks volumes. So we are a vegan soul food restaurant, yes, but it's soul food. It's collard greens, yams, baked mac and cheese. It's fresh salads. We're in that category. So we don't have to push the message. It's good, healthy food. That's it.
And it's delicious. I think for
delicious, nutritious.
Yeah. And I struggled with that too, Jasmine, and it took me a while. I have to do these weekly newsletters. I have to do them and I love to do them. But in these last 2 weeks, I was just like, I ain't got nothing to say that's not about food, right? So what I did was I just talked about my 7 self-care practices I do every day because I wasn't being consistent. And so I had to talk to myself, journal about getting back on the stick and being consistent, especially now, like taking care of myself. So that's what I wrote about, right? That's the first thing I shared. And then the next week I shared about what's at stake for Black women in terms of our health, right? What the statistics are and why we can't wait and we must eat all or more vegan as much as possible right now. And so for me, it just kind of, that's how I handled it. That's what I started talking about. And I said, I always say that back in the day when we used to protest in the 80s and 90s in DC, a lot of our friends would go to fast food places afterwards, and we were going to vegan places, so you can't, so that connection of you're out protesting police brutality and war and all of that, but then you're going to these places and killing yourself. You can, talk about that, right? There are more of us that die from the foods that we eat. And it's not a comparison game, but it's just, we need to be aware of that.
Right. It is a good time to talk about health, and you can talk about both things at the same time. I know last Tuesday I did the broadcast on the Blackout Tuesday because I was clueless about what was going on, and the producers reached out to me and they was like, it's Blackout Tuesday, and I felt like I wasn't Black enough. I'm like, because they're reaching out to me. I'm like, okay, I didn't get the memo on this, but it was like some miscommunication because our voices were still supposed to be heard. It wasn't this complete shutdown of us talking. It was allow us to talk, So I'm glad that I didn't get the memo because we still broadcasted and told people to sign up for the plant-based easy challenge because it is a time to think about your health because of the COVID pandemic and because of the stress that's going on. You know what I'm saying? We're under a tremendous amount of stress because of this and because of the protesting and the racial injustice that's going on in this country. And it continues to go on. It's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's sad that people don't realize the impact. It's kind of like all lives matter. We understand all lives matter, but right now, Black lives are the ones that are being taken for no reason. So let's have that discussion. I'm glad you brought that up, Jasmine. This is what this is all about.
Yeah. So Jasmine, what are you doing? What have you found, that works for you right now in terms of talking about your message?
Yeah, initially I was telling you, like I went into like an emotional paralysis in the beginning of the week, just like seeing looting across the street from my home and hearing all the sirens and the helicopters. It was so much. And I was thinking like, okay, how can I participate in this moment in a constructive way? Because I didn't want to be led by, anxiety and emotion and just, like screaming cries online. I didn't want to do that. And I thought about the fact that I'm a filmmaker. That's my passion. I've been using my art to spread my message. So I decided, get your camera, go downtown, go to, Wilshire Boulevard, go to the places where they have these protests and like provide and actually tape what's going on. Because on the news, I saw a lot of the looting, but I'm like, that's a small fraction of what's happening. What's really happening is so beautiful and so powerful. Like I was crying tears of joy because for the first time, I didn't feel like, as a Black woman, these Black lives being lost is my problem as a Black woman. For the first time, I saw like, this is everybody's problem. Like you guys get it. Like we're members of the human race and we're humans standing up for other humans. So it was really beautiful to be able to document that.
We actually have a question from a Diamond that was saying many people say that veganism is a white privilege movement. How can Diamond speak out constructively about this misconception? What advice can we give Diamond about that? Let me start with a foundation here. When we started Land of Kush, we called it vegetarian cuisine. And this is just me and my my personal opinion. We called it vegetarian cuisine because we come from the pure vegetarian philosophy. I still to this day don't understand how eggs and dairy are part of the vegetarian definition. So that's why when we came out, that's what we came out with. Vegetarian, which in our eyes was pure vegetarian. We wasn't cooking with any animal products. But now we're in the vegan space and we're using this word. How do we answer Diamond's question? How can we make it not look like it's just a white privilege movement?
Well, one of the strategies I used to create my film was to listen to a bunch of people who had criticisms of the vegan movement. Like, what are all the criticisms? Like, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, it's a white privilege issue. Oh, only white people in the vegan media. And I used all of that to construct arguments in my film. So one thing I would say is when you hear that, I don't know if you're, a debater, but take a step back and inquire. Why do you think it's a white privilege issue? And just first listen to everything they have to say, and also invalidate. And before trying to, take the space and prove them wrong, validate their feelings. Like, okay, I see how you can feel that way, and think deeply and reflect on what they said.
Thanks for that, Jasmine. Anything to add, Tracy?
Just know that Black folks are, obviously from West Africa, where we were plant-centered, plant-focused, through 400 years here. We have been leaders, originators, pioneers in veganism. And, Jasmine's film shows that. My work shows that. The guide has that in there. And also, you have to assume that that Black folks have been doing this all along. Like, although that may be a myth out there that it's a white thing, you have to assume that every single culture, even if you are not aware of it and haven't studied it, that every single culture has been plant-based and has people who've been pioneers. That's where I land. And I learned veganism from Black people. I learned that in the 80s. So it's never been a white thing for me, ever. I know more Black people who are vegans than white still to this day. So just seek out the resources.
Thank you for that, Tracy. And I think that's a good note to end on, answering that question. Again, thank you, Jane Unchained News, for allowing us this platform to have this discussion. Please follow Jasmine at the Invisible Vegan. Follow Tracy at By Any Greens. Make sure you subscribe to NaijhaSpeaks.com. Register for the 10-day plant-based challenge. Register for 10,000 Black vegan women, and also download the free vegetarian starter guide created for us by the fabulous Tracy McQuirter at AfricanAmericanVeganStarterGuide.com. I'm so glad that you both took the time out to spend this morning with me. I love you. Be healthy and be safe until we meet each other again.
Love you too. Thank you.
Great.
Have a good one, everybody.